solve the equation w to the power of 4 minus 18w squared plus 81 equals 0. This looks a bit scary, right? It's not a quadratic. It's not like x squared. It's actually a quartic, meaning to the power of 4 is the highest power. However, we can simplify it to a quadratic and then solve it very simply. So in level 1, you won't be thrown a quartic like this to just solve straight up. You'll be able to simplify it to a quadratic, for example, and then solve that using all the tools you have, such as factorizing or the quadratic formula. So in knowing that, let's use what's called solving by substitution, where we're going to replace w squared with x. So w to the power of 4 is actually w squared times w squared, right, when you combine the powers. So we can replace that. So let's say let x equal w squared. Now we replace w squared with x, and since there's w squared times w squared, we can replace that with x squared. So just putting that into our equation, w to the power of 4 is actually x squared minus 18 w to the power of 2 is just x, and plus 81 doesn't have any w's in it, and that equals 0. So what we've done here is we said, all right, this quartic is a bit too intimidating, but if I replace w squared with x, I can rewrite it as a quadratic equation. Now we can solve this quadratic, right? We can just factorize it. So multiplies to positive 81, adds to negative 18. That would be minus 9 and minus 9. So x minus 9 squared. So x must equal positive 9. Now, we haven't solved this equation, right? We've solved our equation. So to solve for w, back up here, we said x must equal w squared. In other words, 9 is x is equal to w squared. And then what could w be? Well, we can square root both sides. And w is plus or minus 3. And that would be solving this quartic equation for w using the technique called substitution, in that we simplified it to a quadratic, which we know how to solve, and then we substituted it back into that initial x equals w squared step.